Take your posts. Tonight's file is about doctrine, and doctrine is not paperwork. Doctrine is the hand on the turret. It decides where a nation points its watch lists, its visa bans, its investigators, its money. This week, the Secretary of State announced new visa restrictions, and with them, a claim about where American counterterrorism has been failing to look. An after-action report tests the claim of where the enemy is against the casualty record of where the enemy has been. Tonight, those two point in opposite directions. The claim exactly as stated. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, July 16th, announcing visa restrictions aimed at what the State Department calls far-left terrorists. For far too long, our counterterrorism doctrine has had a blind spot when it comes to extremist violence from the political left. A blind spot. For far too long. Those words assert two checkable things, soldier. That the left is a major source of terrorist violence, and that the government has not been watching it. Both halves go under the glass tonight. First, the casualty record, because that is the only honest place to start. The Center for Strategic and International Studies keeps the count. Over roughly the past decade in the United States, right-wing extremist attacks killed 112 people. Jihadist attacks killed 82. Attacks from the far left killed 13. Look at the chart and hold it a moment. 13 against 194. If there has been a blind spot in American counterterrorism, it was not pointed where the Secretary says it was. And this is not outside critics second-guessing the government. This is the government's own shelf. Congressionally mandated FBI and Homeland Security reports, year after year from 2017 through 2023, repeatedly named white supremacists the most lethal domestic terrorism threat. A 2024 National Institute of Justice report found far-right attacks outpacing every other category, and that report was removed from the Justice Department's website last September. A Cato Institute tally of political murders since 2020 runs 54% right-wing, 22% left-wing, 21% Islamist. The doctrine did not have a blind spot, soldier. It had its eyes on the threat that was killing people, and the record of that is now being taken off the wall. Now the part of the record that cuts the other way, entered at full weight because this desk does not bury inconvenient rounds. In the first half of 2025, attacks from the left outnumbered attacks from the far right for the first time in more than 3 decades. That is real. It is a genuine shift, and it belongs in every honest threat briefing. But mark what shifted: the number of incidents, not the lethality. Left-wing attacks remained far less deadly, and the total sits well below the historical levels of right-wing and jihadist violence. A rising count deserves attention. It does not retroactively invent a decade-long blind spot. Then there is the foreign predicate, because visa bans need foreign targets. The doctrine rests on 4 designated groups, 1 in Germany, 1 in Italy, 2 in Greece. A just security analysis went through them and found an alliance that does not exist. Groups too disconnected from each other, and with casualty records too low, to support the claim that they pose an existential threat to Americans. 4 small cells across 3 countries is a watch item, soldier. It is not the hidden front of a war. The fair reading, and it gets the full magazine as always. A government should watch emerging threats before the graves force it to. And early doctrine on a rising trend is what competence looks like. The 2025 shift is exactly the kind of signal a serious counterterrorism shot flags. If the left-wing trend turns lethal, naming it loudly will be the right call. And this desk will file that report the week the record shows it. But the claim under the glass is not, "we see a rising trend." The claim is, a blind spot for far too long. And a decade of the government's own reports watching the deadlier threats precisely because they were deadlier is the opposite of a blind spot. It is called triage. Why it matters comes down to where the turret points next. Watch lists, visa bans, task forces, and agent hours are finite, and every hour aimed by politics is an hour taken off the threat with the body count. The record being rewritten in real time, reports renamed, findings removed from websites, means the next analyst who asks what is actually killing Americans starts with a thinner file. And the tools themselves pay. A terrorism designation only deters while the world believes it tracks danger rather than politics. Spend that credibility on a doctrine the data cannot carry, and it is not there when the real thing comes. The honest after-action, then. The visa bans are real. The 2025 uptick is real, entered, and watched. The claim that American counterterrorism spent years blind to the left while the left did the killing is the part the record refuses. 112 dead from the right, 82 from jihadists, 13 from the left, and a government that said so in its own reports until the reports started coming down. Doctrine should be written by the casualty ledger, not the campaign calendar. Count the graves, not the talking points. That's the after action. Dismissed. I'm Mark, and this is Pixel Politics.